And welcome back to a full team of the TV show with video this time. Hey, everybody. How are you? Hey, Rhea. Hey, Angelo.
I'm not sure video's the greatest idea, but okay. Other than Rhea, I mean, I'm a radio guy and you're a stand-up comic. I'm not sure video's going to help this any, but it's good to be on it. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you the one thing that's going to be for sure is my wife is going to be very suspicious because she's going to come home. My hair will be combed.
Ooh.
I will be showered. She's going to be like, "What's going on? Who do I have to talk to?" She's going to hire a private eye after this. Just so you guys know, I'm going to tell you, I feel like Rocky Balboa doing this podcast because I got hit with some sort of infection here. I'm dying. I put all of my over-the-counter medication into a blender with one banana. I spun it together. I took it. I think I have just enough to get through this podcast. So if I pass out, Angelo, you got to take over.
Yay. I think Rhea will do it, but if you're telling us you're on drugs, it's not a shock to any of us.
All right, well, let's hop right into it.
Okay.
Oh, I missed that from Rhea. What did you say, Rhea?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, it jumped around there for a second.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. Let's hop right into it. I was reading today about Avatar 2. I don't know if you guys seen that yet. Have you? I know you don't go to the theater, Angelo. Did you guys see Avatar?
I would not watch it at gunpoint.
I'm with Angelo on that one.
No,
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was great. But then again, I am on a lot of drugs, so that might have been part of it. Here's the thing. It's about to get to 1.5 billion. It's going to happen today. If it hasn't happened already, it's going to get to 2 billion. It'll probably be the fifth movie ever to get to 2 billion worldwide, which means that James Cameron now has 3 movies of the 5 that have gone to 2 billion are James Cameron movies. Before this came out, everybody was talking about how it was going to flop. At least everybody in my online circles was talking about how no one cares about Avatar. It is a niche thing that has no cultural impact. Except when it came out, it becomes this huge hit again. And it got me to thinking that, is it possible that we are in a bubble? And I don't just mean like an elite media bubble. I just mean that like people who care about this sort of stuff focus on it so much, they lose track of what the actual world cares about. Does that make sense? Like that we like, for instance, I care a lot about Succession. We talk about this about a lot. You look at the ratings on Succession, 500,000 people who all live in New York and LA watch Succession. Nobody else does. It does not appear anywhere else. And yet there is a digital cultural footprint on it that is bigger maybe than it deserves. So I'm wondering, are we in a bubble? That's what I wanted to start the new year with, talking to you guys about.
Like, I know Succession gets talked a lot about. I've kind of learned this with, being on social media and seeing what people try to tell you is popular and what isn't. I don't have any friends who watch Succession. I watched it because I knew we were going to talk about it. I watched an episode. It didn't do anything for me. I go on, my Netflix feed, and I have 3 different people in my house using, the same Netflix. I got a 13-year-old, I got a 60-year-old, I got me. So we watch all kinds of different things. But I see the top 10 shows and I'm like, I don't hear anybody talk about those shows.
Right.
And so I just think that, this gang gets a hold, I call them Twitter gangs. They get a hold of a show they love and they find like-minded people and it becomes way bigger than it is.
Right, right.
My experience with predictions in the sports world is that they are often nothing more than expressing a hope. You understand? The critics wanted Avatar 2 to fail because it's a sequel. And they hate sequels because a sequel indicates a lack of creativity. And those predictions that it would fail were based on their desires for it to fail.
Huh.
The problem for me is Titanic is one of my 5 favorite movies of all time. And James Cameron is the best storyteller of our lifetime. Yeah. And he has taken his career and put it into what amounts to a cartoon since the year 2010. And Jay, that upsets the hell out of me. I watched the first Avatar. I hated it. I will not watch the next 4 Avatars, which he is now going to spend the remainder of his career doing. I understand they make money, but that is not a story I want to watch. So
Sure.
I'm out. I do know, however, that these, as he does 3, 4, and 5, they will descend in value because people will get tired of the story and they will drop off. 10% the third movie, 20% the fourth movie. That's just the nature of things. But it's still going to be ungodly successful.
So for you, it's with James Cameron anyway, it's the lack of the potential that was wasted by going down this rabbit hole with Avatar.
Titanic. You know how many times people had dramatized the Titanic story and nobody ever did it the way he did? It was brilliant the way he did it. It was a great story about human beings 100 years ago. Yeah. Now I'm getting stuff that is, maybe it's me. I don't like the fantasy genre.
I don't like it either, Ange. I have no interest in it. Right? So it doesn't work for me. No.
So he's losing us. I'm sure he's picking up lots of people, maybe younger generation. It's not the kind of story I have any interest in.
You know, it just, getting back to TV about it, it just makes me think, because I don't talk to anybody about, like, say, Blue Bloods, you know, right, or CSI or NCIS or any of these shows, these network shows, but they're the most popular shows on TV. And it's just, I do wonder about it. I try to get out of my own bubble sometimes.
Jay, it's really simple. People don't like to acknowledge they like Nickelback, but they're like platinum selling band.
That's a very good point.
Blue Bloods, CSI, NCIS, they're formulatic. But you know what works? They've got good actors. They tell a story. It's what people, you know, that's what it, people don't want to, pop music is called pop music for a reason. Am I like the biggest Taylor Swift fan? No, but she got pretty decent music. When I'm in the car and it comes on, I'm not literally hitting my button to get it off. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
And I think that's more of what it is.
Yeah. By the way, if word gets out that the podcast referred to Taylor Swift as the CSI of music, we're going to get a lot of attention in a negative way. Sorry. And by the way, just as the father of a 12-year-old girl, I am very familiar with Taylor Swift. She is in my household on a daily basis. So, okay, let's move on, because we lost to Titan this past week. We, you know, there's been a lot of weirdly mixed discussion about Barbara Walters passing. There's somebody put together a super cut, which was Barbara Walters' most manipulative moments. You know, how she was a bad person for the way she interviewed people. I didn't see any of that. I think maybe because I grew up with her. In my head, it was just, she was number one in my brain, Gilda Radner from Saturday Night Live doing Baba Wawa. But after that, she was the person who was always on before the Oscars. And back when the Oscars was a big deal, that Barbara Walters special at the beginning of the Oscars, that's when you saw the most unguarded moments from the biggest stars. And I just wanted to know your thoughts on Barbara Walters, and you know, if her passing had a big impact on you guys. Rhea?
Oh, all right, we'll start with me. I'm kind of with you. Like, I remember kind of the Baba Wawa. You know, she was just a little bit older for me, but you're right. The pre-interviews before the Oscars were must-watch TV. That's where you had to see her. I was not a fan of The View, so and obviously it was on the same time as us. But you know, I would see other. I wasn't a huge fan, but I think she was, you know, a lot older than me in that time, where, you know, she made all her mark. Maybe I just haven't looked at it enough. But I will tell you, I read an article, and it may have been on Slate. That just, I didn't know that there was a large part of the populace that despised her. Really? I just thought, oh, she's Barbara Walters. Everybody loves her, kind of like the grandmom of women in TV. But they put this whole thing together about the people she was friends with and the interviews she did. And just, it was eye-opening to me, because I was too young to know any of that stuff. So I don't have a big feeling on it, because I didn't like her later stuff, but the Oscars, I loved those interviews.
I would like to say that my Rhea Hughes in my lifetime is Rhea Hughes. I'm sorry, my Barbara Walters. And here's the reason why. Because I don't even know if Rhea really has put all this together. Barbara Walters was a pioneer in television. She was the first network TV anchor. She worked with Harry, what's his name? The guy from 60 Minutes. I'm blanking on his name. But he was Harry Reasoner. And and a lot of people hated her because she was a pioneer. Yeah. And I take emails every day, and there's still people that say to me, why is Rhea Hughes talking sports? Well, Rhea Hughes established for over 20 years why she's talking sports, because she knows it inside and out. And I've seen the barriers she had to break through to be as successful as she is in our line of work. And I have nothing but respect for Barbara Walters and what she did. And I think that in a lot of ways, Rhea, you should be able to relate to her that way, because you have to break down doors that people won't open for you. They will, with the way they will for men, white people, different ethnic areas. And I have nothing but respect for people that break those doors down. And Rhea's
I always thought she was universally beloved. So I was really shocked to kind of read this, because I just thought, well, she's Barbara Walters. But yeah, it is different. And what women in media did in the 60s and 70s and early 80s, like, I owe them all a debt of gratitude. And even though it was in other areas, it allowed to open the door for me to come into sports. So I do owe them that. But you say you get the emails all the time. That people still hate me, and that's fine.
Not
I was
many.
just shocked.
A lot love you. Don't get me wrong. But most
No,
love.
but I was just shocked that when I read this article that it was so anti Barbara Walters. I was like, wow, blew my mind.
And one other thing, Jay, because we are on video now, I would like people to look at this head. Is this the head of a man about to turn 72?
No.
I would guess not. And I have one person to thank for that, Barbara Walters. In 2008, Jay, she did a TV special on a thing called resveratrol, which is it takes the nutrients or vitamins or whatever it is from the skin of the red grape. French people live longer lives because they drink so much red wine. And I have taken the supplement for 15 years because of Barbara Walters. And I took great comfort in knowing that she lived well into her 90s. And I'm assuming she also took the drug that she did the story on in 2008.
I drink copious amounts of red wine, so I'm good.
Oh, no, that wasn't what she was selling, man. Come on.
I will say, just to speak to what you were saying, Angelo, I do think that when a woman does exactly what a man does, which is, you got to be cutthroat if you're going to work in network television. I mean, that's just the way it is. Just the fact that she was a woman being just as cutthroat as all the men around her, all of a sudden she gets a sheen on her that's a negative sheen, that a man in that same position, they go, well, you can't mess with the guy. I don't. He's strong. She becomes evil, and I think that's completely unfair.
Well, it's very simple. He's a go-getter. She's a bitch. That's usually how it goes.
And Rhea's dealt with that her whole career. But you know what? Those people actually, in order to be successful, Barbara Walters had to ask the tougher questions. She had to pursue the answers to those questions the same way Rhea's had to be better than most guys in sports radio. Because if you're just as good, they'll say you're not as good.
Right.
Thank you.
And on that note, speaking of just as good, we got been missing Rhea for a couple of weeks now. Rhea, we got I said British corner and team corner, but you wrote back you have something different.
Well, no, I do have the British team. I just said I actually watched something that was non-British that I really enjoyed, but my British corner, and I think I have a great one that I know you guys will like. It's got 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's called Sherwood. It's on BritBox via Prime, 6 episodes, based on real murders in this small town near Nottingham that's actually called Sherwood. There's a lot of Sherwood Forest references. that kind of make it funny. But it's an old mining town, and back in the 1980s, there were this very vicious mining strikes in Britain that famously cut families apart. I mean, one was a scab, well, one's in a scab. So one of these guys who was involved in it is murdered early on, and the guy who is doing the investigation, David Morrissey. I think you're a Walking Dead fan. Am I correct?
Yes.
He's in 3 seasons as the governor.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay. Wow.
so he's the main detective in this, and he was also a young policeman during these strike riots. So it goes back and forth between the 80s and present day. It's a crossbow guy who's going throughout the community killing people, which you don't normally get crossbows.
No.
No, it's really crazy. Leslie Manville's in it. She's plays Princess Margaret in The Crown. Robert Glenister, Code of a Killer, I've reviewed for you guys before. It is a phenomenal mystery, and like I said, it's only 6 episodes. There is a shocking murder halfway through the series that was so shocking, I screamed at the TV. So that's, I mean, it totally blew me away, but it is, they consider it's going to sweep every single award, with the BBC. Wow. I kept going on to this going, I'm not mining strikes, what am I? It's so phenomenally acted, so well filmed. I will just tell you, this may be the best series that I recommend to you so far that we've done this show. Wow. Sherwood on BritBox. And I just found out today it has been renewed for a second season. So great. Absolutely phenomenal show.
Sherwood. All right. Excellent.
Sherwood.
I thought for a second it was going to be a Robin Hood reboot. And I was like, where's Rhea going? What happened?
They make a lot of funny references to Sherwood Forest and that kind of stuff. So there is, and the cool thing about it, there is some slight humor in some of the episodes. So it's not totally dark, right. But the acting in it is absolutely phenomenal.
That's so BritBox, is that a separate payment? Have we talked about this?
Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes they'll give you one season,
right?
But if you go back for the second, they'll charge you.
I've dealt with some drug dealers the same way.
Yeah,
they give you a little taste, and then you're in.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. But listen, if you're a British show fan like I am, you subscribe to BritBox, and then you get those shows for free. So, not for free, but you get them.
And so you don't have a teen corner. You said you have a.
I know I do. I do have a teen corner. And this is a show. It's Wednesday, which is
loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, Netflix, 8 episodes. Here's the funny thing. My son loved it. He's 13. My brother loved it. There's a big disparity in their ages, and it's aimed. Really, it said it was aimed at preteens and 20-year-olds, but it's taking the Addams Family, Wednesday from the Addams Family, and kind of reimagining her getting kicked out of a school and having to go to Nevermore Academy, sure. Where she's with all, she's got to solve a murder spree, something with her parents. Catherine Zeta-Jones is Morticia. It's Tim Burton. I mean, that's really all you need to know. But it's really, I think, teenagers to people in their 60s and 70s will love this because we all remember the Addams Family and we kind of liked it. One of the opening scenes, just to let you know, she's in her regular school Wednesday and somebody's picking on her little brother, and it's a bully, and they're all in a pool swimming, and she's holding up bags of piranhas, and she looks at the bully and she goes, "The only person who's allowed to torture my little brother is me." Dumps him in the water, and chaos ensues. So very highly recommend that to watch with your teenager. You'll love it.
We watched it. My kids, my 15-year-old boy loved it. My 12-year-old daughter absolutely loved it. I think my 15-year-old liked it because he likes goth girls. I think he was enjoying it for different reasons. My 12-year-old and 7-year-old absolutely adored the dance. They do the Wednesday dance, which is sort of a TikTok sensation all the time. I grew up with Christina Ricci as
she makes an appearance in it.
Yeah,
she does make an appearance in it.
If I could make one recommendation to the people watching, if you are a middle-aged man, limit the amount of times you say Catherine Zeta-Jones looks great to your wife. Maybe twice is all you need. Anything more than that, you're going to start hearing stuff. But she looks phenomenal. She looks great in that. So okay, and you had the one that wasn't the teen one, that wasn't
the one thing I just want to recommend it. It's fun. It's called The Recruit. It's on Netflix. 8 episodes. I finished it last night. It's a lawyer who goes to work for the CIA and then all of a sudden is recruited into missions where he's all over the place. It's fun. It's breezy. I mean, it's got some darkness to it. Don't get me wrong. It's a Russian asset, and she's trying to get out of prison, so she uses them. There's a guy in the CIA. He's also a lawyer who is literally will exchange information for him only if the lawyer steals his girlfriend's Adderall, which is a very, very funny scene. And his name in the show is Giannis. I just liked it because I kind of like the CIA kind of shows like that, but it's not ultra serious because there are some interesting, fun moments in it. But if anybody's looking for something to get you binge through a weekend, have some fun, I liked it. It's called The Recruit.
Very nice. I'm looking at it now. I don't see anybody.
New actor. I didn't really recognize. There's one guy I recognized, but he only has a very minor scene. But the main character, good looking, I will say, very good looking guy.
Noah Centineo. Yeah, he's good looking.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. But it was a fun show. You'll breeze through it.
All right. Definitely we'll check that out. It's Angelo time now. Angelo, what have you watched? What do you got?
A couple of things. One is I want to talk a little bit about endings because I've seen the end of 2 miniseries, both of which I really enjoyed, one of which nailed the ending and one of which didn't. White Lotus, which we have been talking about last couple of episodes of this podcast, they nailed the ending. It was
100%. So good.
It was so good. The ending made you love the show even more than you actually did. But it was so good. I liked it. I think there were so many really good performances in it. And I just love when they know how to end the show. Yeah. And I'd be shocked if they did a 3rd, but I wouldn't rule it out because they are pretty good at bringing one of the characters back from the previous year, putting them in a new locale. But it's just a bunch of people at a resort enjoying a vacation, and then horrible stuff happens, and people die.
That sounds like you.
People die. Similar, except no one dies normally when I go. They nailed the ending.
There was a great thread on Twitter, Angelo, that said, I want the next episode or the next season of White Lotus to be at the discount resort White Lotus, where it's like Jupiter, Florida.
Right.
Bunch of like lower middle class guys from Philly. It'd be fun to see.
That place in Sicily is pretty spectacular.
Oh my goodness!
Anyway. Yeah. The other one is Fleischman is in Trouble, which is on Hulu and which starred Jesse Eisenberg and Claire Danes, and it was an 8-episode. It was just an endurance test because it was these 2 people that really were married but learned to hate each other. And it was all going fine, and they brought in Lizzie Kaplan, who's a terrific best friend for Jesse Eisenberg's character. She does a great job. I love Lizzie Kaplan. And you get to the end, and right at the end, they give you a twist that does not fit anything they've done for 8 episodes. Yeah. And I hated the way it ended. And it was, I guess it ended the way the book did, or similar to the way the book did. It didn't work as a TV ending. It was not good. I hope it does not come back because I don't want another year with that couple. Those people were not meant for each other. And I have one sterling recommendation. And I had watched its first season. It had not been on for a year and a half. I'm going to assume because of the pandemic. Sure. It is on Apple Plus, and it's the Mosquito Coast. It is a very, very intriguing series involving, again, a rather dysfunctional couple and the kids and how this family goes on the lam for 13 years.
Right.
And they're involved in a bunch of adventures. They're in on deserts. It's all kind of adventurous stuff going on. And they never tell you in the first season who did what that put them on the lam. They tell you in the first episode of season 2. And it's fantastic. Justin Theroux is the main character, and he is this nut. He is an adventurous.
Is that Jennifer Aniston's ex-husband?
That was the only thing anyone ever knew him for. He was her husband for 3 years, from 15
Yes.
to 18. His uncle wrote the book, The Mosquito Coast,
Wow.
all
Wow.
throughout. Famous writer. He wrote it 40 years ago. They cast it, and I think by accident he got the part. His uncle's still around. And Justin Theroux said he learned a lot about how to do the character from his uncle. It's a great show. Just started season 2, although I think you could binge it on Apple Plus. It's a great watch.
The movie, The Mosquito Coast,
Yes.
taught me as a kid that not every Harrison Ford movie is age appropriate for me.
No.
I remember, because all I knew that Harrison Ford was Han Solo or Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So I was flipping around HBO one day and I was like, what's this? Han Solo's in a movie? Let's get on it. And then like I'm an hour in going, I have no idea what's happening. I gotta back out of this.
No, but that's why I watched it, Jay. I watched this because I liked the movie with Harrison Ford. And this is really, really good because the character's so different, so unusual.
Well, I will have to check that out. And you guys have such good reviews. I can roll into my negative review of a movie on Netflix that I watched with my son that I was very excited about when it came out. When I saw the preview for it, I was like, Noah Baumbach is directing White Noise, which is a book I read in college as a pseudo-intellectual. I said, I'm going to read this and be very hoity-toity. I was like, I can't wait for this deconstructionist movie that will be both funny, biting, satirical, and entertaining. And it was none of those things. It was an abomination before God and man. It was the most boring 2 hours I ever spent watching a $60 million movie filled with stars that I like. And I remember reading when it came out, enjoy it because this is probably the last Netflix blank check movie where they hey, let's bring in a talent, give them $60 million and say, do whatever you want. You know, you had Scorsese did The Irishman, and you have Knives Out by Ryan Johnson. You have this one by Noah Baumbach. And after watching it, I said, you know what? Maybe they should get rid of the blank check program. People need to come in and give notes on these things. Did you guys happen to see it?
I did not see it.
I did not see it because Noah Baumbach is the one involved in it, and he's never done anything I've liked. I am amazed somebody gave him $60 million to blow, because he is not, he's really bizarre, and he is not my taste at all. I would not watch anything he did because I have seen stuff in the past that sucks.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not against Noah Baumbach. I actually like Greta Gerwig a lot. I know the two of them have worked together. I saw Miss America, which I thought was very good, that Greta Gerwig was in. And Adam Driver is one of the most exciting actors working. I think he is phenomenal. Not only was he a great actor, excellent SNL guest. And I was, and my son, who is, you know, much better than me about giving a movie a chance, even he was like, you know, I guess there was some messages in there, but I didn't see them. Maybe guys, notes are appropriate. And listen, I like wacky movies. I liked Everything Everywhere All at Once. I thought that was great. This is just a wacky movie that added up to a whole bunch of nothing, and maybe postmodern novels from the 80s weren't made into movies for a reason. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. Jay, let me go over what we have talked about today where people can see it. In theaters, you could see Avatar 2. You can watch Sherwood on BritBox. You could see Wednesday and The Recruit, both on Netflix. You can watch Fleischman is in Trouble on Hulu, Mosquito Coast on Apple Plus, and if you want to waste 2 hours of your life, watch White Noise on Netflix.
Very nice. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you hanging with me, as I did not die. Unless I did, and I'm imagining all of this, which is, you guys, congratulations, you made my death dream. Very nice for popping in. But we'll be back next week with more TV stuff. Thank you so much for joining.